Welcome back. This video will explain how to work with returns and exchanges in the invoicing module. I'm going to start the returns and exchange training by creating a new invoice for Jeannie and adding a charge. And once I have that charge in place, let's say that Jeannie wore those hearing instruments for a week and they were a little bit too strong or not strong enough, and she needed to exchange them, perhaps return them. In order to do that, I have a single item here, a single line, but I may have other items on there, such as a pack of batteries or a dry-in store, things like that. But just to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to leave one line here. So to create a return or exchange, you click this little circular button here, and doing so will copy that line to the line below it, or then the line above it, and then it asks me would I like to set the return date or the exchange date to today's date, and I'll say I'm going to set the exchange date to today, and I can even put in a reason. Now the reason that I want to do that is that later I can perform some financial tracking and reporting to show what were the reasons for the different kinds of returns and exchanges, so I can maybe stay on top of returns and cancellations, that sort of thing. So I'm going to say there's too much power, not enough power, whatever I'd like. I can edit this list by just clicking the edit button at the bottom and putting in my own choices. So again, I'll put in maybe too much power here. This bottom section right here, we're going to ignore in the training. This is an old legacy area that some of our customers still use, but we recommend that you generally don't use it. So after I put in a date for the exchange and the reason for the exchange, which really is pretty quick, I'm going to close that window. And what I've done now is I've basically zeroed out the invoice. So the patient did have a charge, they returned that, they exchanged it, but they're going to now get a different type of product. It may be the same manufacturer, and they just want to try a different, let's just do it with a monorail now. And as you can see, the two items above are basically historical evidence of what Jeannie tried. So we're going to try a different, now it's jumped to the top here because it's the newest charge line, and we can see now that she's doing a different product. She was on an ITC, let's say, and now she's on a RIC, etc. So what I've done is use the same invoice to track her purchase of the first product, her return or exchange of that product, and now she's on a different product there. And I can do the same, for example, let's say that this audio was not acceptable for some reason. Let's click this button again, and it asks me if I want to do that. Let's say I'm going to return it this time because she they decided that she couldn't afford that or something like that. So I'm going to do that, and again, the invoice now is 0. But if the patient had paid a deposit initially, then you do want to make sure that that you get that paid back, essentially. So let me refresh the invoice so you can see something here. And actually, I'm going to edit this and say, let's say the patient had paid 1, 2, 3, 4 as a deposit. Well, they have a balance now, and you can decide whether or not there's going to be some kind of a return fee. If there was a return fee, then you could put that as an actual item here. Just make sure you add it to your product list, such as restocking fee, professional fee, anything you want. Select that fee, and that fee may be $500 or whatever you decide, and that would help to offset the balance that you owe the patient. But let's just assume we're going to give back the entire amount. To do so, you click into the next field and put a minus sign for the amount that you're returning. And again, you may be returning that to the patient as a credit card, your own credit card, or crediting them, etc. And so now the invoice, that's the goal, the invoice is back to 0 here. But we do have the ability later to run some reports for exchanges and returns. We'll cover that in a subsequent video. But I wanted you to see then that you want to click this button here called Returns, and you have a little button right next to that that lets you check what's going on in the reason areas for either a return or an exchange.